Okay, so we've all been there. You're digging through a research database and you find the perfect article. You just have to share it with your class or your team. Seems simple, right? Well, when we're talking about a giant like the Harvard Business Review, the rules are, well, they're a lot stricter than you probably think. Let's get into it. So picture it. You're on a database, maybe EBSCOhost, and boom, there it is. The HBR article that just perfectly explains the concept you're teaching. The immediate instinct is to download it, maybe add a link to the syllabus, or upload it to the company's training portal. But hold on a second. Can you actually do that? The thing is, according to the official notice from Harvard Business Publishing, the answer is a pretty firm no. It's a super common practice for sure, but it actually goes directly against the licensing terms. And today, we're going to clear up exactly what those rules really are. It all boils down to this one key phrase: private individual use. See, when your university or your company subscribes to the database, they're buying a license for you, an individual, to use for your own personal research and learning. And that right there is the big dividing line. The moment you shift from reading it for yourself to handing it out for group instruction, well, that's when you've crossed from what's allowed into a violation of that agreement. So let's break this down. First up, let's talk about the academic world. If you're a professor, an instructor, or a librarian, this part is for you. Without getting special permission first, you really can't use these articles as assigned course material. And that includes putting them on electronic reserve, bundling them into course packs, or even just putting a persistent link in your syllabus that takes students right to the article. So to put it really simply, are you reading an article to get ideas for your own lecture? That's your own private research. Totally fine. But are you assigning it as reading and then giving your students the file or a direct link? That's a no-go without getting separate permission first. All right, let's switch gears and head over to the corporate world. The same basic idea applies here, but the rules are framed a little differently for business settings. For anyone with a business license, the restrictions are all about formal training. You can't use HBR articles as official training materials. That specifically means you can't host them on your internal learning management system, your LMS, or even link to them from inside that system as part of a course. And again, the distinction here is just as clear. Are you reading an article to get some fresh ideas for a project you're working on? Great, that's what it's for. Are you making that same article required reading for a formal training session? Yeah, that's going to require special permission. It's all about individual use versus programmatic use. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the don'ts, but here's the good news. There is absolutely a clear path to doing this the right way. Harvard Business Publishing isn't saying never. They're just saying you need to go through the proper channels. The process is actually pretty straightforward. First, you just figure out exactly what you need it for. Is it a course pack, a training module, what have you? Second, you just acknowledge that, yep, this use is outside the standard license. And third, you just reach out to them directly. And here it is, probably the most useful piece of information in this whole explainer. This is the email address you need. Just send your request right here, and their team will get back to you with the rates and terms for what you want to do. And just so we're clear, this is not some new policy they just came up with. This notice was first published way back in May of 2009. So these rules have been on the books for a long time, even if a lot of us are just hearing about them now. And listen to this. This is a direct quote from the publisher. They say they will be pleased to grant permission. See, this isn't meant to be a roadblock. It's just their business model for this type of use. They expect these requests and they want to work with you. So, all of this leaves us with one last thought. You know, we live in a world where sharing a file is just one click. It feels totally normal, almost automatic. But this is such a great reminder that behind every piece of content, there are terms of use. It really makes you think, doesn't it? In this age of easy sharing, maybe it's more important than ever to check that fine print. Thanks for tuning in.